About what happened as they are still in the early stages of the investigation.
Late Thursday night, officials with Kentucky State Police showed up on scene here along Lots Creek Road, just a little outside of the Sassafras community.
When troopers arrived on the scene around 11:40, they advised that a short time later they heard gunfire that appeared to be coming from inside a residence where they were called to.
That gunfire happened not long after those troopers got to the scene. Trooper Jody Sims with Kentucky State Police says when that sort of thing happens, their focus has to be widespread.
Their initial concern is for the safety of those in the public, then themselves, and then those possibly involved in some type of situation.
Inside the home where the shots were fired, troopers found a woman dead. Their investigation on scene lasted well into the daytime Friday morning.
They can, once details arise and are made available, then those will be released.
And that investigation is still ongoing. In Knott County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Troopers were questioning the man in custody when we last talked to them earlier today. Still, no names have been released. If there's an update, we'll have it for you on the website and tonight at 11. Police in Middlesboro are asking people in Bell County to be on the lookout for the man accused of shooting 2 people today. Officers say this man, Tommy Ellison, shot a man early this morning. Later, they responded to another shooting at Rennie Gale's homes around noon. There, they found another victim who identified the shooter as Ellison. The picture you see here is an old mugshot of Ellison. He is still on the run and considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, you should call 911. A fight led to a stabbing in Knox County Wednesday night. It happened near Kentucky 11. Deputies tell us the woman was cut in 6 places and stabbed in the chest. She was flown to UK Hospital and is currently in the ICU. Deputies do have a suspect in the stabbing and expect to make an arrest soon. The Pikeville Police Department is working with other agencies to find a man who's been missing for more than a week. Wesley Hook left his home in Pikeville driving a white 2008 Chevy Impala to get snacks after swimming with some friends. He's not been seen since. That was on June 10th. His family is now asking for the community's help to find him. Pikeville Police Officer Tony Kahn says he has known the family for years and hopes to find Wesley soon.
This is absolutely not like Wesley to disappear like this, or not at least contact his family, especially his mother, and which it has us very worried about him.
Kahn says the white Impala has Kentucky tags. The plate number is 893ZNB. If you have any information about Hook's whereabouts, you can contact the Pikeville Police Department.
Well, we've been seeing showers kind of go on and off this evening, but while we're seeing those breaks, I mean beautiful conditions. Looking behind me into our WYMT studio camera here in Hazard, I mean it's just beautiful outside right now. I mean you can just see that nice mixture of sun and clouds. We're staying on the dry side for the moment, and overall just beautiful conditions here, but we have seen quite a few of these scattered showers popping in and out throughout the region this afternoon, so you could still see these are still continuing throughout the region, but for the most part still on that drier side. And temperatures still pretty warm out there. A lot of us still in those 80s. If we have cooled down, most of us still in those mid to upper 70s, so very warm outside. So warm, mostly on the dry side, so if you need to get outside and get some fresh air, definitely looking okay to do so. Just got to keep that WYMT weather app with you just in case you do see a scattered shower headed your way. But other than that, I think as we head overnight tonight, we'll see those rain chances diminish and temperatures dropping nice and low and into those lower 60s. So it's actually going to be very cool by the time you wake up tomorrow on our Saturday. Steve?
All right, thank you, Brooke. Tonight in Whitesburg, an art parade was held to celebrate Juneteenth, the celebration of when news reached Texas in 1865 that slaves were free. WYMT's Emily Bennett was at the event and is live now to tell us about it. Emily?
Yes, Steve, just 1 week after the Black Lives Matter protest here in Whitesburg, they are showing support for the Black Lives Matter movement yet again, but this time a little bit differently. Now, to celebrate Juneteenth, Black Lives Matter artwork is filling window fronts on Main Street in Whitesburg. This afternoon, cars passed honking in solidarity to show support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Organizers say they decided to have an art parade because Whitesburg is an artistic town, and they felt this would be a way for everyone to be able to relate to each other. Organizer Deja Hogg says the response has felt surreal.
As I see all this and I see all these people contributing and supporting, and I'm like, this is really happening. Okay, this is actually happening. Like, so I'm ecstatic. Like, it's still all unbelievable to me that there's this much support in Whitesburg. It's awesome.
Now, Hogg says Juneteenth is even more special this year, as yesterday Governor Beshear signed a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth in Kentucky. Live in Whitesburg, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, Kentucky's primary election is on Tuesday, and the race for the U.S. Senate looks a lot different now than it did at the start. The campaign has gotten a lot of attention, with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell seeking a 7th term in office. Tonight, Garrett Weimer looks at the Democratic candidates hoping to challenge McConnell in the fall.
A campaign upended by COVID forced candidates to trade face-to-face time for just FaceTime. Virtual interviews and events, plus TV ads and social media.
It turned this campaign upside down and has changed things and led to a whole different dynamic.
10 candidates are on the ballot, but only 3 are actively campaigning. They've adapted in a world changed by a virus and by recent events exposing racial injustice.
From the very beginning, the campaign motto was economic and social justice for all, and what was a call for economic and social justice back in July, I think has stopped being a call, and I think it's now a demand.
Mike Breuer has made some waves. He was endorsed by Andrew Yang, but he's been overshadowed by Charles Booker and Amy McGrath.
We need to get rid of Senator Mitch McConnell.
McGrath has gotten back on the trail in the closing days of the campaign. According to the pre-primary finance report through June 3rd, she's outraised even Senator McConnell, raking in $41 million in the campaign.
People are so tired of the partisanship. I'm somebody that in my core wants to get things done, wants to move us in the right direction when it comes to things like healthcare, when it comes to things like good quality jobs and infrastructure, and of course, working towards the social justice in issues that we all care about and that really Kentuckians are demanding right now.
But momentum is building for Charles Booker. The state representative is in the middle of a statewide tour leading up to Election Day. His voice in the race has grown as he joined protests, rallies, and marches in his hometown of Louisville, particularly in the outcry over the death of Breonna Taylor.
Standing on the front lines is natural to me. I want to stand with my family, and the people of Kentucky are my family. And my campaign is all about the structural changes that would make sure that we're safe in our homes, we're safe in our streets, we have thriving communities. And so leadership is really about how you show up in the moments when you need it most. And Kentucky was crying out, and I stood with them, and the momentum is showing that they're standing with me now as well.
Booker has landed big endorsements, including from Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. A recent poll shows Booker surging and won, even with a lead over McGrath.
She has piled up money to run this election against Mitch McConnell. Now she's had to turn her attention back to the primary and hope that she can survive this push from Booker.
Turnout for the primary is expected to be historically high. Secretary of State Michael Adams says nearly 890,000 voters requested an absentee ballot. In 2016, less than 670,000 people voted. Now, we don't know what that will mean for the outcome, and with a lot of ballots being mailed in, we likely won't even know on election night. Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
And again, Election Day is coming up Tuesday. It's going to look a lot different this year. And as Garrett said, we may not know the winner on election night. For the 4th day in a row, hundreds of people waited in Frankfort hoping to get their unemployment claims resolved. People have traveled from across the state. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has been hearing their stories of frustration.
There were multiple lines set up to get unemployment claims resolved on Friday.
Got here yesterday at 8:30,
Jeff Reed was in the priority line because he was turned away just after 5 o'clock on Thursday, and he was hoping for some good results today.
Yesterday and today basically burns my gas money for next week. So if I don't get something straightened out today, we're going to have to be borrowing money to get gas money for my wife to go to work next week. So.
And I haven't worked since March 13th.
William Northcutt of Georgetown is in the March line. He and hundreds of others are still having problems with claims first filed more than 3 months ago.
And I'm waiting on my little part-time check, and it started out all right, but now it's gone to the wayside.
Some people arrived Thursday night just to camp out and wait for results on Friday morning.
There was a big influx of people about 3 in the morning, and then another one after 5 in the morning, and it's been pretty nonstop since then.
Those who showed up Friday morning were told they would have to wait for the people turned away Thursday. But for everybody, all of this has been a big waiting game.
It needs to go by when you filed, not how close you live to Frankfort and whether you have transportation to get here. That was very frustrating to me because I have other family members who physically cannot get here.
Governor Beshear said Thursday that a team of 29 people have been assigned to help people with their unemployment. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
When the coronavirus pandemic really started to wreak havoc on daily American life, schools were some of the first places to close. Now organizations are working to make sure Eastern Kentucky children are not at a disadvantage because of it. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
Normally a line like this one is associated with food.
Bags of soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, washcloths, some of the essential items, as well as books for children.
Alyssa Taylor is the state director of Kentucky programs for Save the Children. Friday, she and a handful of others were out in Manchester hoping to help kids and their families.
As summer 2020 shapes up to be the longest of some of these children's lives, Save the Children wants to ensure that they have the educational materials to continue learning at home and to stay safe.
COVID-19 is impacting the way Save the Children does business, forcing a summer of what would be in-person teaching to online in these drive-through giveaways.
Normally we have in-person summer programs, and this year we're doing distributions of packets and also delivering on buses through meal deliveries. And we're going to have some virtual activities as well for those students that have internet access, but it won't be limited to children that do have internet access.
While kids need nutrition, they also need brain food, a goal of Save the Children that they take to some 70 Eastern Kentucky schools throughout the year.
And we want to make sure that they are ready to go back to school when it does start, and they continue learning and stay engaged with their families and their educators throughout the school closures and the pandemic.
A small change in delivery, but the same message preached. In Manchester, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
And the weekend is almost here. I'm going to have your weekend forecast and more coming up.
Also, how one nursing home facility is working to bring families closer together while still keeping them safe.